What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the party. Hope you're having a wonderful night or day. Welcome back to some more Chrono Odyssey as well. We actually had a second Discord Q&A with the executive producer recently, so for those who aren't in the Discord, missed out on it or couldn't find it, this is going to be some good information for you, but you will want to join the Discord and make sure to keep tabs on it when you can. So it starts off by stating that since the release of their developer notes 4, they have been reviewing our comments closely and are overwhelmed by our passion and insightful feedback regarding the combat system. Our expectations, as well as our sharpest critiques, are a prime motivator and source of inspiration as they continue to build a better game. Today, which is actually yesterday, they'd like to address some of the most commonly asked questions they've received. Please understand that they may not be able to provide any definitive answers for every single topic just yet, since some features are still undergoing much internal debate or additional R&D to ensure their utmost quality. While they can't show us everything at once, they still want to be transparent about the soul of their combat and where they're headed. So for the camera and controls, the first question they had was, do you plan to add a toggle option so players can choose between camera facing and character facing direction? I remember this was a topic that popped up a lot in my comment section as well. There were people that were hoping that it was kind of a toggle. When I kind of thought about it again, I kind of expected it to be where the old system would kind of come into play when you do lock onto a target, but the new system would come into play when you don't have anybody targeted, and in that situation your skills would go in any direction you were facing. The answer was that in the current version of the game, the camera plays a pivotal role beyond just providing a viewpoint. At this stage, rather than splitting their focus by adding various toggle options, they are pouring all of their resources into perfecting the combat experience through revamped camera settings and a lock-on system, but they will continue to fill in the gaps through ongoing testing. Now, I think it would be beneficial if in the long term they are able to incorporate a toggle for that, because I can still see how there will be players that will want to embrace that old camera style system, and giving players the option in general is going to be more of a positive than anything. Their second question was, how do movement and aiming work for ranged classes? Is there a toggle between camera facing and directional control, or a hybrid system? Ranged characters utilize a dedicated camera view with the targeting reticle specifically tuned for their combat needs. However, they are still conducting internal R&D on the ranged camera environment to ensure the controls feel just right. They look forward to showcasing this in the gameplay footage later. Third question was, how does character movement look while locked on? By default, the character will stay facing the target while locked on. However, they've updated the camera system so that when you sprint, the character can move nimbly and reposition with fluid animations and speed while breaking lock-on focus. Question 4, which I think is a pretty interesting one, is, have you considered an acceleration-based movement instead of an instant top speed? The answer is, movement is just as vital as the camera system. They've currently balanced sprinting so that you hit top speed instantly to minimize any frustration. That said, they're discussing and testing ways to integrate acceleration to amplify the immersion and the weight of certain content without making the game feel sluggish. I think something that people would be okay with, as long as it's not done to the extreme, is if our movement speed or need to accelerate is based on the type of armor we're wearing. For example, if we're wearing heavy armor, I think that everybody can understand if it takes a little bit longer for our characters to get up to top speed, and if we have overall less top speed than other characters. The next section is impact and balance. Question 5 is, will the new hit reaction system lead to stun locking when fighting multiple enemies? So glad somebody asked this question, because I was wondering and talking about the same thing in my last video. They said that they believe that stun locking, where a player loses control for unavoidable reasons, is a design flaw that kills fun. To prevent this, they're designing monster AI to use a coordination system. Instead of overwhelming you with simultaneous attacks, monsters will strike sequentially instead. Not sure if I said that right, but their core goal is to ensure that you never feel cheated out of your controls and can stay engaged in the fight until the very end. I want to stop for a quick second just to give some appreciation about what they're doing here. And I talked about this in the last video, but after fully reading through all the changes, I had already felt like they had a baseline way to combat this with their knockback duration changes, but I never would have guessed on the PvE side that they would use a system like this to combat the stagger spam. I personally feel that it's incredible to myself that in the span of one update, they were able to completely put my mind at ease about the hit reaction change. But also, funnily enough and kind of random, but this also reminds me of that old TikTok and YouTube short where people would showcase how in action movies, enemies would usually come to the main character one by one instead of coming at them all at once. This system totally reminds me of that, so I'm definitely going to be getting a kick out of that when we next play. But question number 6 is, can basic attacks cancel skill casting? Are there differences in hit reaction based on class or specific stats? Being hit by a basic attack can interrupt skills that require charging or those that do not grant super armor. A cancelled skill will still trigger its cooldown. They do not have hidden stance or poise stats for resisting hit reactions. Instead, they want players to parry, block, and dodge to actively counter enemies. Timing these correctly provides specific advantages, making the back and forth of combat more rewarding. Now, I'm not sure if I totally understood their explanation on this. I'd like to take a look at it in-game myself. I'm curious if people are going to be able to animation cancel to at least get the effect or the damage off from the skill and then immediately cancel into another attack. But so far, these answers have been really solid. The next question is, as player mobility and controls improve, will monsters be buffed to match? Their answer is absolutely. Our monsters are being upgraded to react more intelligently to the state of battle. Rather than just standing around, they now calculate distance and perform coordinated group attacks. As your controls become more intuitive, the monsters will become more relentless, adapting to your attack flow. They are rebalancing the combat experience through sophisticated animation changes and patterns in lieu of just inflating HP. Why are they just doing the most awesome thing possible in every situation possible almost? Like, I don't know how many times we as MMO gamers have said that when it comes to challenge, we'd much rather have it be mechanical based rather than just inflating the HP. And they're just doing it without anybody even asking. It's amazing. Question 8 was, does blocking have a clear advantage over dodging? How do shield types differ? The answer is, while blocking, dodging, and parrying each have their own fundamental mechanics. The Matrix system allows you to add various secondary effects. For example, the Matrix enables you to build specific stacks upon a successful block to trigger powerful skills, or even transition into special combo chains following a perfectly timed block, rather than just offering the simple benefit of damage mitigation through repetitive blocking. Instead of differentiating based on shield types, they focused on using the Matrix system to allow players to customize each action to suit their individual playstyle. Equipment will serve to further amplify these individual builds and their effects. Question 9 was, will slow weapons have super armor? How will you balance them for PvP? They say that their design philosophy is for every weapon to feel unique. They said they're designing the Matrix system and various progression systems to ensure all weapons, not just those with slower attack speeds, can maximize their strengths and compensate for their weakness. Players can optimize their weapon's performance to suit their playstyle and strategically adapt to various combat situations, including PvP. The third section was for consumables, and question 10 was, what was the main reason for changing HP potions to a rechargeable stack system? The answer was, improvements to their potion system focus on minimizing the preparation time required to retry difficult content. They want to preserve the sense of momentum so you never have to walk away from a boss simply because you ran out of supplies. HP potions will function similarly to the Estus system in Souls-like games, where charges are replenished at specific locations. This removes the chore of farming for HP potions while incorporating the tactical risk associated with the healing action. Question 11 was, won't automatic potion refills ruin the fun of the gathering and crafting? The answer was, this shift will actually open up economy. Since HP potions are now rechargeable, gathered materials can be redirected towards a wider variety of food items for long-term buffs, cleansing potions for debuffs, and special potions for short-term power spikes. The demand for materials will be much higher and more strategic than before. Question 12 was, can we upgrade or customize the potion system? The answer was, you can upgrade your rechargeable potions to both increase the number of charges and the healing efficacy. They don't plan on including an overcharge mechanic that allows players to carry more than the max. Question 13 was, how many types of consumables are there? Do buffs stack? The answer is, consumables are categorized into potions or food. Potions are designed to boost stats that have a direct impact on combat, providing powerful buffs over a short duration. Food also grants buffs and lasts significantly longer, though the individual stat increases are lower than those provided by potions. They're currently testing the optimal cooldown values for these consumables through extensive balancing. While the effects gained from both can be active at the same time, they are designing the system to ensure that these effects do not conflict or overlap. As for when a character is revived, all previous active buffs and debuffs will be cleared. And I'm hoping it's going to be a thing where you can have food and potion buffs active at the same time, because I feel like being able to have that level of preparation is going to add a lot of fun factor to the consumable system. Question 14 was, are there plans to add a support class? The answer was, support classes are fundamental to the MMORPG experience. Rather than restricting this to a specific class, they are utilizing the Matrix system to allow various weapons to provide different types of support utility. Every player, regardless of class, can contribute to the party's performance depending on the combat situation. I'm hoping in the future they may consider actually adding a full-on support class, because I think that there's always going to be a place for it in MMOs, but if they're not planning to have that in this game, I think that's still going to be okay, because at least we have the Paladin who's capable of healing, and then maybe if we get another healing class in the future, they'll have a little bit of that utility in there too. And the last question is, how big is the 1v1 duel arena? The answer is, they're currently conducting tests across various environments while balancing the duel arena. The footage shown is a work in progress and is not indicative of the final version. I'm also putting it on screen. I forgot to cover it a few days ago when they put it out, but we can take a look at it now. They're committed to delivering a polished and optimized environment at launch, and they'll continue to share development updates regularly. They look forward to revealing more detailed features and gameplay improvements as they continue to communicate with us all. They also say that they hope that these answers clarify their vision for combat, which very much serves as the heart of Chrono Odyssey. Since it defines their game's core identity, they will not overlook a single animation frame or hit detection box as they work on development. If we have any new questions or new ideas, please be sure to join them on Discord, and they thank us for taking this journey with them. Overall, that was a really solid Q&A. I think that was even better than the last one. I'm really looking forward to some of the next updates throughout the year. I'm really curious also to see what the monetization system is going to look like. I think that's going to be one of the things that ends up being a huge point of contention for people. But either way, CBT2, very much hope it happens within the next few months. Can't wait to jump into that. Thanks so much for watching, folks. Let me know what you thought about this in the comments below, and farewell.